beginnings of it go back a long way. When I was the socius for Northwest Africa province, I was at Surulere, and we were hosting some of the JSOM priests and provincials, and the JSOM president, Mike Lewis, was there, and we didn't have enough guest rooms for everybody, so I arranged to put him in my room, and I slept on the floor in the room next to it, but I tried not to let him know that it was my room. And of course, it was impossible to conceal. But then sometime later, when they were looking for a minister for Arupe, at another JSOM meeting, they brought up the issue, did anybody have somebody? And Father Jude, the then provincial of ANW, said that I had been 8 years as socius, and maybe I could be spared to go to Harare at that time, to Arupe. And Mike Lewis just immediately said, that's our man. I guess he thought maybe I'd give him a room down here if he came too. Also, I had always said that I thought they should put the best people they have here at Arupe, because it's the most important house in the assistancy. Not that I think I'm the best man at all, but it made me feel honored when I was asked. I didn't even have to think of it. If I could make some contribution here, I'd be delighted to go to Arupe. And I still feel that way. It's been a tremendous privilege to be here.
The one thing that comes to my mind about Father Jerry is he's a man of service. He's always willing to help. He'll always go out of his way to provide what is needed. And it doesn't make any difference what time of the day is at, or how easy or how difficult the request is. He will be up immediately, leave everything, and head off to render service to that person.
It has been a wonderful journey, a journey of learning. Seeing someone who is so dedicated, a hard worker, and a man who is always available to his mission. I remember when I was a student, whenever I'm faced with ill health, we just knock on his door, and his door was always open. Or you just call and he will be ready to pick your call. Which really kind of challenged me when I assumed the new office and when I was appointed to be his assistant. And I felt working with him was a pathway of growth and so challenging to me to improve on my generosity and availability, and really to concretize one of these ways that we always talk about, being a man of others and trying to pour out your lives to the betterment of others.
Also experience his availability also. Father Jerry is very available all the time whenever you call him. If you have a problem anywhere, anytime, and you give him a call, Father Jerry is always available there for you. And a typical example is when we need things from the store and then you give him a call on the phone. He wouldn't mind even if he's in the house. He will walk down to the college to attend to you and go to the store and give you whatever you want.
An extremely loyal and an extremely loyal and good Jesuit, I think. He really works hard. He really takes his job on and does it extremely generously, I think, as everybody knows.
Always likes to help people out, and it does strike me that office of his, there's always people there asking for something or other. Quite frankly, it would drive me nuts the whole time, but he's always friendly, the door's open, he listens to everybody's request, and even when he comes to relax a bit at Rutendo, his phone's always ringing, constantly ringing. Somebody saying, "Oh, Father, I need a car. I need this. I need that." So he's really very obliging, very generous with his time.
I've always wondered where he gets this energy. As young people, we tend to get tired and sometimes, but this is a guy who is always there, works maybe up to around 7, maybe evening. You see the light in his office on, trying to balance things, and that's really a challenge, and I know that Arupe will really miss him.
Well, I think I learned how to read my body over the years. I'm now 75 years old. I'm actually younger than Father Roland, but that will catch me in a few days. And I've learned that I can go back from the times when I was on the farm. I can do a lot of work and work long hours. So it's been rare that I've really felt that I was very near burnout or anything like that.
My personal experience with him was when I got introduced to the Society of St. Vincent de Paul, Solidarity with the Poor. When we talk about preferential option of the poor in the Society of Jesus, I can safely say that Fr Jerry Aman is one kind of a person who has been spearheading the manifestation of that preferential option, especially among scholastics. He took me through his program of going for outreaches to places like Hopley, places like Christenberg, where he was very passionate about taking care of people who are living in the margins of the society. Adding on to that, I can also say that he is a hardworking man. He led by example. Sometimes when we couldn't even manage to go to places like Hopley, he himself would drive to go there to actually see on the ground what is it that we are doing, instead of just sitting in the office sending us go there, but himself as well, he will go and get his hands dirty. So he's one kind of a Jesuit who actually responded to the call of Pope Francis, saying that we should smell like the sheep that we are heading.
It is remarkable that he has ever been able to do that, but that's part not only of his great energy and his care for other people, but of his intelligent creativity. He's always thinking ahead, always trying to work something out, always trying to figure out a better way to be able to achieve and give the service that others are waiting for. The secret of his great energy and drive is his love and his care for others, and the happiness that he experiences in being of service to all that need his help.
And I love my work. So it'd be different if it was the kind of thing that was difficult and challenging in a way that would run me down, but it's not. It's something that gives me life.
Do you actually rest anyway?
Do I rest? Of course I do.
Okay,
usually on Wednesdays when somebody is up preaching, then I get a good siesta.
I always found when something goes wrong, like in the house where I am in Hannon, "Oh, Jerry, there's a burst pipe," no time, he says, "We'll get it fixed," and soon workers come and fix the burst pipe. So I think he's shown a lot of competence in the work he does.
Kana ukata chichemo chako pakati pousiku chero eni nguwa wakawafonera waidaira waiuya kokonzwa kuti dambudziko rako riri papa. Tiri mukicheni kudaro vabajeri kana davari kuofisi kana davari kucommunity ukawafonera kuti ndashoterwa nechekuti chokubika mukicheni vaimhanya vachiva chikupa. Kana ukaenda kuofisi kwavo nguva diki kwaibva watosimuka vachiva chikupa chinhu chouri kuda.
I lived with Fr Jerry in Tansi community for 2 years, and I'm proud to say that Jerry is a good community man. Jerry is someone who listens. He's not opinionated. He has his ideas fine, but he likes to hear from people, from others, to know what people have to say.
It's fun to be with. It's fun to be with. There is no time you go to meet Father Jerry that that you will have any problem, so to say. He never scolds you. He never shouts at you. He never makes you feel bad. Even if you have made a mistake, even if he tells you to do something and then you go, you do it, and then you make a mistake. If you come to him and you tell him, "Father, I made a mistake, I didn't do it the way you asked me to do it," he makes it a joke at the end of it all. He makes it a joke, but he tries to fix it for you and say, "Okay, let's look for an alternative for it," and things like that. Father Jerry, it's a very calm person, and despite whatever happens, if you ever go to him and tell him, he will be able to listen to you, and he will be able to help you out in that situation. So I've never seen Fr Jerry angry. I can't remember any day seeing Fr Jerry angry. He's always happy, always outgoing and friendly.
I've never seen him irritated. He's hardly ever critical of anybody, at least in my hearing. He's very positive about his work, and I just admire him a great deal. He's a very, I think, a man of deep spirituality, and yeah, I think we've been extremely lucky to have him. I think he's made a great contribution to this place.
You cannot spend a moment with Jerry without feeling encouraged. He's a kind of person that likes to encourage people. He would say, "Take courage, my son." He would encourage scholastics on the aspect of studies, on the aspect of community life, on the aspect of apostolates. You see Jerry cleaning the community, watering the flowers, doing worship every day. That's Jerry for you. And any Tansian can attest to this. Jerry is someone whose presence makes the community lively.
Tanzi has been my home for 8.5 years, and it's so different from when I first got there. The chapel, when I got there, was just a coffee table with a raggedy cloth on it, and there was nothing else there, just the little stools to sit on. And over the years, we've been able to build that up into I find it now, it's so inspirational. I do my prayer there each day. And it's hard to leave things like that. And the whole house, it really was a bit of a shambles when I moved in. But small, we got it worked up to where it's really a living place. It's a home now.
I've especially appreciated what he's done for the staff, because when this institution first was created, there wasn't much thought, I think, for the needs of the staff. So, for instance, when we first moved to this campus, there was no staff common room. There was no place where staff could gather and have discussions or have their own a little bit of their own social life. But as the place developed, I think it became more and more clear that there was a need for this.
But one thing I know of Jerry is that he's a good chorister. Despite his busy schedule as the community minister, Jerry would find time to come for choir rehearsals. He is regular and punctual. From time to time, Jerry would teach the choir new songs to augment the ones the choir is familiar with. His words of advice and encouragement, as well as criticisms, have really helped to improve the performance of the choir.
He has been with us in the choir ever since I was here, from my own experience. Ever since I was here, he has been with us in the choir, and he comes for choir practice every evening. He shows up there after his work. He was so dedicated to this choir. He does not only show up to come and sit down and watch us, he participates in, and even sometimes teaches us some songs. And his songs are very funny sometimes. They are the kind of songs that when he brings them up, people will always, they are quite unique, yeah, if I may use that word. They are not songs that we are very used to.
Oh, my head,
comes, he teaches us the songs, and he's so happy doing it, and we enjoy his songs when he comes to teach us. And then he loves his guitar also. He loves to play his guitar. He wouldn't want any other instrument to interfere. He would love to play his guitar.
Celebration of the Mass is something very deep to him. And he's not only happy to celebrate, but he is zealous and desirous of celebration. And he does it with great gusto and great spirit. He has a fine voice, and he's good with the guitar, and he leads people very easily. And he preaches down to earth, very human sermons. So you could see him coming alive in the liturgy as he brings the congregation with him. And that's very much part of who Jerry is.
One cannot doze in the Mass presided by Fr Jerry. It's not possible. You can't sleep in the Mass presided by Fr Jerry. It's not possible. He keeps the liturgy lively. Jerry sings, he plays guitar, he engages the people with stories in his homilies. He is someone that has a lot to tell. His homilies never run dry of stories. And I think all this contributes into making the liturgy lively. Jerry is such a nice man.
Well, when I was chaplain at Canisius High School in Buffalo, which I was for 10 years, I couldn't play any instrument, and I loved listening to music. When I was home milking the cows, I would always have a radio on and sing to the cows. But then at Canisius High School, I had to get kids to sing, and you couldn't get the whole student body to sing. That wasn't cool. So I'd always have to find a core of people who could really do creative and energizing music. And then every year they would graduate, have to get a new group. In one of the years, there was an exceptional guitar player, and I told him, "Oh, how I wish I could play guitar." And he said, "Well, why don't you?" So he gave me 3 lessons and then told me, practice, practice, practice. And so that's what I did. And I've never really played guitar for entertainment, only for liturgies. So that kind of gives me a little extra spark too, because it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not playing for applause, I'm playing for God. And so that's enough of a reward.
He's a prayerful person, and of course we all know he takes liturgy very seriously. He loves doing masses here at the university, and then at Wadzenai and Emerald Hill and other places where he goes to hit Harare Institute of Technology. And I think we all know his style of liturgy. He brings his guitar, kind of Don William country music, songs during Mass. Not everybody's cup of tea. A lot of people like it. I think younger people like it. We older people, it's not quite my cup of tea, but it's good to see how everybody sways around and dances around when Jerry comes in with his guitar.
Probably most of all, though, I'll miss the liturgies that I've had here. I have found to be able to have liturgy and tanzi every day has been, for me, very uplifting. And the Wednesday Masses in the chapel here, those have been very, very good. Father Arupe said we have the best choir in the whole assistancy, and I believe that. And I felt great that I was able to be a part of that for 8 years. And then the weekend Masses give me so much life. Emerald Hill especially, with all those little kids there. And I was doing a Mass every week for the last couple of years down at Harare Institute of Technology. And those students, the number grew, but the numbers aren't what count. It's the spirit among the people, and they were so responsive. And then Wadzenai, I enjoyed going there. St. George's was always a delight when I went down there. And going across the road here to Our Lady of the Wayside for the 7 o'clock Mass. these are the things that give me life. These are the things that really keep me going. So they're the things I'll miss the most when I move on. I've really felt close to the workers here, especially the grounds crew. I found them to be very friendly people, good workers, very responsive to whatever I'd ask of them. So it's been nice to have all that time with them.
Experience with Father Jerry was overwhelming and joyous one. He would not keep boundaries, for he was free and welcoming. He could joke, share lighter moments, as with brother and father. He would chip in and intervene when problems arise in particular. His book of life, there's no worker that does not know about that book, although it was a public secret. Jerry was just funny. He would come in, walk in my office singing, "Ambuya ndebolu putseni," signifying the mood of the day, cheerfulness. And there's one sad one that he used to sing when he was going away for holiday. Although that time it was good because he would come back. But today, it saddens me. My bags are all packed, I'm ready to go. I'm standing nearer outside your door. I've got to wake you up and say goodbye. I'm leaving on a jet plane. Don't know when I'll be back again. Indeed, and for sure, those bags are packed. Those bags will be missed. And the honor will be missed too.
One thing that maybe I can advise him as a young Jesuit who have been with him is he really needs to rest. He has been working very hard and it's very difficult, especially working with scholastics. This is a very busy place and he was actually devoting himself generously, but that generosity has to be rewarded by a good rest. That's my last words to Jerry. Go and give yourself a good rest. You have done a lot thus far.
Jerry is a kind of person, or rather he's someone that hardly speak up. He hardly complain. Even when things are obvious, even when he dislike the proceedings, even when he doesn't like the practices, or even when he's not in support of what is going on, he hardly complain. That's Jerry for you. He's a good person, no doubt, but at times people can take his goodness for a levity.
I think all the qualities that I see in Jerry, they have a kind of shadow side because people can take them for granted. And with Jerry doing everything, the danger is that people can say, "Oh, well, we don't have to bother about this. Jerry will fix it." You know, so it can have that sort of shadow side. But really, he did extremely well, very competent.
You might feel like, even if I go to him, he's not going to be angry at me. And I feel like that can actually give room for people to take advantage of his generosity sometimes and his kindness sometimes, because he's just so good and he's never angry at you. He wouldn't scold you. He wouldn't make you feel bad. So I feel like that openness, that freedom of him and his generosity can actually make people take advantage of those generosities when he gives them to people.
And if you know, there is an unspoken phenomenon in formation houses, especially on our continent, in our conference. We kill ministers in formation houses. And a couple have died. So that if you haven't had the opportunity to do harm to Jerry, well, he is lucky. And it's probably also due to his tenacity, his generosity, and his ability to take on those multiple body blows that I'm sure he has received over the past 9 years. So we wish him well, and we keep him in our prayers as he moves on as well to another mission, which I'm sure will become will be made known to all of us.